you really need something like that that's going to help stimulate the economy, at least in some of these individuals' point of view. And when I think about all the people who have or who play a role more or less when there is a conflict going on, and not just in military applications, but in medical, in a myriad of things.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. With us today is Christian White. You find him at christianevanwhite.com. He was kind enough to have me on his show several weeks ago, and I realized we were kindred souls. Our attitudes, our views towards what's happening in the world, and I would call it, Christian, the curated lie, and the way tech has fit into that, all these things, and then cycles, Martin Armstrong, all these things. Christian, it's great to have you on the show. So what do you think the top lie is that we're being fed by the mainstream media, by the powers that be?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I want to be canceled. Oh, gosh. Well, the one thing I have been hearing is about October 7th, about it, whatever. I might get some slack, but it being more or less kind of inside job. Or that the power, some of the powers that be kind of allowed perhaps some of that to happen. So that was one topic that's been kind of interesting. I've been kind of going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, I don't know about an inside job, but perhaps it was like a Pearl Harbor type thing where maybe they knew something was coming. I don't think if they knew how bad it was, they would have allowed it. But this was not something that just came out of thin air. So what about lies in our everyday life here? Lies that we are told, and we are told repeatedly that they're truth.
Well, I mean, there's a myriad of things I think here. I think the first one is, certainly COVID. I think for sure that you have a lot of the reasons as to why we've gone into these other countries that we've done regime change and things of that nature. I think there's a lot of stuff that's been misconstrued. I'm trying to think of everyday things. I mean, I just feel like as I go down this rabbit hole more and more, Kerry, I am less and less trusting of legacy media on both sides of the aisle. I just think a lot of stuff is just highly sanitized, and I find myself listening to alternative media more and more. And I'm not saying I'm right on these things, just like the first controversial comment I made there earlier. But I don't know. How about you?
Well, today's conspiracy theorist is tomorrow's truth teller. And to me, like, the biggest lie about the economy is everything's fine. The economy is growing. Everybody's getting better. The standard of living is going up. And the global economy, no problem. Everything is fine. And I just find that to be kind of absurd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to love those CPI numbers and jobs reports that they release. It's just fascinating how they gauge the basket of goods for CPI and how that's misconstrued, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's the curated lie, and but people want to be lied to, don't you think? Many of you out there want to maintain the illusion, because if you really admitted what was happening, well, that would change your worldview. It would be a paradigm shift, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I think if, again, from the various guests I've had on, and I know you've had a lot of, outstanding guests, the more one goes down the rabbit hole and tries to, better understand the nature of this world. I think there's a lot of things, particularly, like the Epstein things of that nature, that if people were truly aware of what has happened, what's gone on, it'd probably make their skin crawl. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I think that goes on. That's just, there's a myriad of things. Again, whichever direction you want to take that.
Yeah, well, the Epstein thing, everybody just seems to want to brush it, rug sweep it. And, the only person in jail is supposedly willing to tell all, but nobody wants to listen to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And clearly that was an intelligence setup. There's not a question. We go back to Hugh Hefner, all right? He's the original honeypot. There's almost no question he was an intelligence operative, right?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, as I'm learning about how some of the powers that be, I don't want to say all of it, and Hollywood even, how blackmail is used, sexual in nature or in other capacities, and how that's leveraged.
You know it. Nobody's perfect, and the deep state has the ability to use all of your mistakes against you nowadays with social media, with Google computers, right? You're looking at, they have everything you've ever written, said, every phone call you've ever made has been recorded. Every piece of mail, Christian, that you have gotten since 9/11 has been scanned, at least the outside envelope has been, and it's been archived, right?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And to add to that, I mean, you mentioned on the show last time when I had you on about DARPA, and that was something I was not aware of, and to tie it in with kind of the surveillance kind of nature of things post 9/11.
And I wasn't making that up, was I?
That's pretty fascinating. And I've been hearing more about. I'm actually having on a gentleman, James Rugski. I might be botching his last name. Having him. Yeah, he's going to be unpacking the WHO and some of these NGOs and other means by which people are able to, effectuate their agendas.
Totally true. Hey, and but I have a T-shirt. I should have worn it for this show. It says, I identify as a conspiracy theorist. My pronouns are told you so.
There you go. I like it.
It's just funny because everything they've told you that isn't true, guess what happens? It turns out to be true, right?
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to mention. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How does that happen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, again, some of the stuff that I'm like I said, that first statement I made, which is rather bold. I think about our mutual friend Martin Armstrong. He's referenced the Lusitania, Gulf of Tonkin incident. There's talk of Pearl Harbor. I know this stuff sounds like just fantasy, but again, not everyone's like you and me, and not everyone shares the same values. And there are certain individuals out there that are hell bent on fomenting, whether it's a war or civil strife or taking advantage of the system in many ways. So, yeah, I feel, I'm unplugging more and more.
There was a comedy act, and I got a few years on you, back in the 70s called Fire Sign Theater. And they had a skit which basically said, everything you know is wrong. And the longer that I live, the more I come to the conclusion that they were right. Everything you think you know is wrong. Whether it's 9/11, Pearl Harbor, World War I, why wars happen, who makes money, right? Who doesn't? All these things. Everything you think you know, you really need to question. So here's a question for you. How do you figure out what's the truth and what's the lie?
Well, I think for starters, I look at it as what is being put out there from legacy media channels. And I'm not saying everything they put out there is full on lie or or bogus. But I also want to preface. Oh,
are you sure about that?
well, look. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of stuff they put out there that is manipulated, is designed to fit a narrative. But you asked me, how do I go about deciphering that? I listen to different viewpoints, and I kind of do deductive reasoning and draw my own conclusions based off whether it's history or just kind of common sense. Just certain channels, right? They have a certain narrative they're trying to peddle. So and I'm not saying that I know the inside scoop, because I'm learning. I don't think no one truly knows the nature of things, but that said, I have some opinions on those.
Yeah, well, so the narrative, we got this thing called narrative control, and it doesn't matter what the truth is. It's all about the narrative. So my question for you is, how do you break the narrative? What's your strategy on it?
Yeah. Well, I think we live in a golden age right now, Kerry, whereby, media is at a place where it's never been. I mean, historically, you go back, 20 plus years, if you or I wanted to have a voice and put ourselves out there, we'd have to go through those gatekeepers, and we'd have to, have the resources and the technology in order to disseminate information. Now it's become so democratized, anybody can disseminate and can put out information, and so I think part of that is sharing what you're observing, what doesn't have to be, 100%, per se, where we know the verdict is, but at least having that dialogue, having that conversation. And I think we're starting to see that more, just like with the past election that we had, how, people like Rogan and other podcasters, look at how Trump was able to galvanize that voter base and things of that nature, or even the New York mayoral candidate, how he's been able to tap into media in ways previously inaccessible.
Yeah, so true. But that's a plus and that's a minus, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we saw, of course, what they did during in the past handful of years. I know Mark Zuckerberg has spoken about that on shows, how, and even with Jack Dorsey with Twitter at the time, how they felt pressured. They needed to do this. They needed to do that. So I think people are becoming more aware of how algorithms and how things are able to, create these echo chambers and pit us against each other more and more.
Yeah, they're good at it, right? They're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they tell us all these things like the dollar is going to last forever, right? And, it's lies. And not only that, but it really hurts people because nobody's ready for it. It forces them not to prepare for the inevitable, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think of all the guests that I've had on. I think of the common denominator they mentioned about is the money printing, the fiat debasement going on. And I think of Voltaire. He mentioned back, I think this was in the 1720s with that Mississippi Company, whereby a Scotsman came over to France and pushed for basically a fiat type system, and there's a big rush into that, and that kaboom, and he fled. He fled the country, caused a lot of issues. So I don't think the only thing that's constant is change, I think, in this world.
Yeah, well, and even that you have to think about sometimes, because what you think change is oftentimes isn't really change, is it?
Where are you seeing the puck going as it relates to that? I mean, obviously we got the rise of these BRICS nations, and there's talk about Bretton Woods 2.0, things of that nature.
Yeah, well, I think they're not going to be able to accomplish anything until there's a major financial collapse. That's my honest opinion, because they're kind of just prepping. I see them as national preppers. And, at some point, no doubt they'll be right. But, it's just, I just don't see it. It'll happen little by little, as our friend Andy Scheckman says, until it happens really fast. And that's the scary part,
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh yes. Well, it's like the Hemingway. It's gradual, then all but sudden.
yeah. All of a sudden, you know,
Yeah.
then it happens, and you know, uh, they'll keep doing it till it doesn't work anymore, right?
Absolutely. And again, the common theme that I've that I've observed with many of the guests that have been on is, hey, well, they're not going to default. They're not going to allow that to happen. So they need to find a way to figure out this conundrum that they're in. So I think you got to have the boogeyman. You got to have a pretext. And I think that's
You think war, huh?
get to see. Sadly, I think that's the case. I think Martin's on the money on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the strategic Bitcoin reserve is what it's all about. Try to inflate the price of Bitcoin and use that to basically pay off the deficit. That's my theory, but I'm willing to say I could be wrong. But it just seems very convenient that we have a president who's gone all in on crypto. When I was at the Bitcoin 2025 conference, I was told there that over half the contributions coming into the Republican Party are from crypto-related entities.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think Lutnick is pretty big on that.
All of them. Trump too. Look at the Melania coin and the Trump coin and all that good stuff, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and then I look at like the riots in LA, immigration riots, and again, those are manufactured. Those aren't organic. They're not real. They're created by a party trying to push its own agenda. Not that the other side isn't. I'm not going to judge on who's right or who's wrong. I have my feelings, but I see it as just more of the same here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a notable Irishman named John Waters on recently, and I couldn't believe how well received that conversation was. What he had to say, he talked about how Ireland is being de-Irished, so to speak, in his words, and how you've got a lot of the power, some say, behind the Bank of England, behind the BIS, going over there, as Ireland's been more or less kind of pillaged for the past several hundred years, and how that's been kind of a testing ground to see what they're able to do. And you hear a lot of talk about civil strife headed down the pipeline, especially over in the UK.
Oh, yeah. All over the world. And that's another thing Armstrong mentioned, is that, the civil unrest cycle, the war cycle, all these cycles coming to fruition here. And, he says the dollar will remain preeminent until 2032. Makes you wonder. But then on the other hand, he said the Dow is going to hit 40,000 between 22 and 24, and he was spot on in so many of his other calls. So you got to wonder. But what concerns you right now personally the most, Christian? Gosh,
probably some type of kinetic false flag event. Really, candidly, yeah, I would say something like that. I think you really need something like that that's going to help stimulate the economy, at least in some of these individuals' point of view. And when I think about all the people who have or who play a role more or less when there is a conflict going on, and not just in military applications, but in medical, in a myriad of things. Alex Craner, who I follow some of his work, he's got some remarkable insights on how these private central banks, coupled with these corporations, are able to go in. They use the regime change or some pretext to go in there, extract resources. Banks could put it on their balance sheet. They can then lend further. You've got all these NGOs in the picture in the mix. So I could see something like a false flag. It could be another health pandemic, or it could be some type of, kinetic thing.
Who knows? Yeah. Well, I'm with you. I see things happening here that at one time in my life would have shocked me. There's one piece of advice that you can give to everybody out there listening to and watching us now. What would you tell them?
I would say be as self-sufficient as you can. Obviously, not everyone has the means or the ability to, buy another piece of property that's maybe adjacent outside the city and such. But I think that if you can have some of your reserves, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm Mr. Perfect when it comes to this by any means, but I would say making sure you have, those reserves. By that, I mean like, basic supplies and such, maybe a backup generator. Who knows? I mean, look what happened in Spain not too long ago with the power.
I was there. It's so funny you mention it. I was there that day, and that was all a result, now they're saying, of trying to balance the green energy, the power grid it's really difficult to do that without massive amounts of battery storage, which no place in the world has yet, but it will come online. And honestly, it wasn't like that bad. I couldn't take the subway, managed to get dinner. I was fortunate that my hotel had a backup generator and never lost internet. But it really was like not a bad experience. But if it had lasted for a couple more days, there would have been pandemonium, because Spain is the least prepped country in the world. Christian, their credit card readers stopped reading. All right. Everything became a cash economy instantaneously. So in a way, what you're saying is like a preview of potential things to come, right? What happens when the ATM doesn't work? What happens when the credit card swiper doesn't swipe?
Well, absolutely. And I'm not going to go off in a tangent and speculate that we're going to see some post-apocalyptic, thing per se. But I think, things operate in cycles. And I wouldn't be surprised. We're so dependent, and we're so fortunate in the West to have access to the resources that we have. And, another facet to that, I think, despite, I know a lot of doom and gloom, I have a lot of guests on and such where they talk about, this isn't going. That's it. I still think we live in the best time to date in human history. I mean, the amount of people that have been taken out of poverty over the past several decades, people have basic needs. Sure, things could be improved upon, but access to resources, endless entertainment, you name it. I mean, we have it pretty good compared to, going back 100 plus, going back, 70 plus, 80 plus years ago.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I think it's a pretty amazing time to be alive, as my friend Jason Hartman would say. And hey, Christian, best place to find your work, best place to connect with you on the web?
Yeah, christianevanwhite.com. And you can reach me at christianevanwhite.com as well. And I've got a YouTube channel called it's under my name, Christian E. White, but my show is called Discourse with Christian. And that's how you can reach me.
All right. And the link will be in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Really appreciate you coming on, Christian. We will talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Hey, Kerry, much appreciated.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.